Welcome to my video. So finally we are learning the data structures. Okay, the first video of data structure, the simple and the concise data structure is array data structure that stores the data in a contiguous way that I will show you an example that how it can store data in a contiguous way in a memory as well. Let's directly jump onto the code and see what is an array and why we will use it. Okay, so first of all I will tell you and why we will use it as well. So array is a kind of data structure that stores the data. There is the combination of more than one objects with the same data type. Okay, for example, I have a student ID to store 100 student IDs. So what I will do, so I will create 100 objects. So I can't create by writing the 100 objects. So I will definitely use an array. In the start I have told you that it is a combination of objects. So in one line I will define my 100 objects. So how I will do that, let's see. Okay, so I will write an integer in data type. I will define my data type, then I will give it a name. So I will define a number of elements. So let's take an example that I want to store 5 student IDs. Okay, so how I will store the student IDs in the array. So I will define it one by one. So first is, okay, so array has a advantage and disadvantages. So first I will show you what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages. So this stores the data in a contiguous way. This is like an array. So array starts its first index from 0 and ends it at 4. So it is an array of 5, but it starts from 0 and ends at the 4. I have stored the 11 on the 0th first index, 12 on the second index, and 13 on the third, and 14 on the fourth, and 15 on the fifth index. I want to access the data directly. So for example, I want to access the 3 here. So I can directly access the 3 from a memory. I have an address and I have an index. So I can directly access the 3. I don't have to jump onto the 0, 1, 2. I can directly access the 3 as well. So if I want to access the index number 3 here, so I can directly access the index number 3 as well. So I can directly access, this is an advantage. So that, for example, I'm just storing the 2 elements called 11 and 12. So what about the 3 elements remaining? They are free in the memory. They are taking our memory, but they are not freeing up the space for the another objects. So they are taking the memory. So array has a fixed size. You cannot erase the other objects that are lying in an array. So this is the disadvantage of that. So best way to access the data from an array by using the loop. So I will use the loop here. So first of all I will define my 5 elements, then I will go on to the loop. So as we learned in the previous video, go and watch the previous video, the link is in the description as well. So I am starting from the 0 and ending at the 4. So this loop will not be I will not be reached at the 5, so it will end at the 4. I can access all the data that is in my array as well. So then I can access my all the data. Write the student ID and I plus 1 is because I is starting from the 0. So first at the first printing I want to increment 1 because I want to print the first time the student ID into I. It will pick every index of an array. Okay, like this, that I first time will be 0 and I last time will be 4. So I will iterate from there, iterate, and it will pick one by one all the elements as well. So I hope this will make you clear that how I will produce the results for us in an array. So the best way is to use the array is to use by using a loop. So I can also ask the user to see in all the values. The first line is into the student, into the ID of the student I plus 1, because I want to print the first time 1 here. Okay, I don't want to print the 0 as well. So but then I will say in student ID, then I will pick every index by using I. So I will pick every index for me, and then it will store on the every desk as well. Okay, so let's see the result by compiling and running it. By compiling and running, you can see the results on the screen. So it is asking us to enter the ID of the student 1. So I will enter the ID of student 1 is 11, then 12, then 13, 14, and it is asking us to enter the ID of student 5 as well. Okay, because I have incremented the I for the one time after every iteration as well. So you can see the student ID 1 is 11, student ID 2 is 12. It is produced the results the same way we have entered in the array as well. Okay, I hope this make you clear that how an array data structure works. Array is an important data structure that if you want to store a bunch of data in the array in the memory, you can store it as well. For example, I have shown that you can enter the student ID. You can have many students in your college, in your school. Then you can enter the hundreds of student IDs in your system as well. You can produce a system that will store the data of 1000 students. Then you will enter one by one every student ID. Then the arrays will be useful. Okay, so first, one more thing I want to show in a paint that, for example, you have a memory like this. So this is my memory that is storing the data that I am coding in my Visual Studio. So I create an object, it stores in the memory. I create another object to will store somewhere in the memory that I don't have an idea that where it will store my data in the memory. If I create the third object, then it will store somewhere is well that also I don't have knowledge. So array, what array will do for me, that array will store the data in a contiguous way that jump into the memory by using by using the address, by using the by incrementing the address in an array as well. So let's implement into the function, that how will I will implement it into the function. So function we have learned in the previous videos. If you don't have learned the and watch my previous videos, you will learn the function name printing array. So I can give any name that ARR stands for array, and then I can take a size. I create a function that is called printing array. Then I am taking an array from the function, and I am taking the size of an array. So then I am using the loop and starting from 0 and printing the size, the actual size of an array. Okay, so then I am printing the every element of an array. So then here I will pass the printing array function, use the printing array function. Then I will pass the array here, call student ID. Okay, though, so you have to pass the by just using an object. Then I will give the size. What is the size of an array is 5 as well. So now you will see the results on the screen here. Okay, for example, I want to enter 2 3 4. You can see the results on the screen, that is printing the results on the screen that I have entered in the array as well. So now just comment it, and let's see how array stores the data in a contiguous way. Instead of printing an array, I will print the address. Address of falling index is falling. Build and see the results on the screen here. Okay, so enter any IDs. You can see the results here: 7000, 704, 708, C, and 0 as well. So you can see it is printing the results in hexadecimal, so after 4 bytes as well. Because a teacher has a 4 byte size, it starts from 0, 4, 8. You can see the hexadecimal addressing is here, C and 0. If you will create another objects, it will definitely have the different addresses, way more different addresses than each others. Okay, if you will create an array, you will see the continuous addressing in an array, that it starts from 0, 4, 8, C, and then one digit is changing because the hexadecimal ends at the 15. So I hope it makes sense that how an array stores the data in it, and how the addresses of an array is linked together, and they are very close to each other. Because if you create an array of 5, it will create 5 objects, and the object will be lying together in a memory. I hope it makes sense to you. That was all for this video. So goodbye for now.